Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we'll offer our obeisances to the Shad Goswamis first. Nana Shastra Vichanika Nipunau Sadharma Sanstapakau Lokanam Hitkarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padarvinda Bhajna Nandena Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. Summary of what we have done till now. So Updeshamrut is going to help us in developing to the 9 progressive stages of bhakti, right from Shraddha to the Prem. So first 3 shlokas made us understand about Shraddha. The next 3 shlokas made us understand about Sadhu Sangha. The 7th shloka made us understand about Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha and Ruchi. And the 8th shloka, which was started since yesterday, is now making us understand the importance of Asakti. What is the importance of meditation on Krishna's name, form, qualities and pastimes? And then the last 3 shlokas, which will be talking about bhava and prema. Vacho vegam manasaha krodha vegam jiva vegam udarapasta vegam etan vegam anyo vishaheta dhira sarvam apimam prithivim sashishyat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyam agraha janasangashcha laulyam cha shadbir bhakti vinashyati. Once devotional service is spoiled, then he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. Utsahat nishchayat dhairyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vrutte shadbir bhakti prasiddhyati. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Dadati pratigrehnati guhyam akhyati pruchati bhungte bhojayate cha eva shadvidhim priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Krishneti yasya giritam manasa indriya dikshahasti cheta pranatibhi bhajanti misham Shushushya bhajana vidyanam anyam anya ninda adi shunyam hrudam ipsita sangalabdhyam. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation diksha and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Drushta swabhav janitehi vapuhucha doshahenah prakriti tattvam iha bhakta janasya pashetaham ganga ambasam na khalu budbudafena pankahe brahmadravatvam apagachati niradharmeh. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, a body with bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in a body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Gangas, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. Syat Krishna Nama Charita Adi Sitapi Avidya Apitta Tapta Asanasya Narochikanu Kintu Avadaran Anudinam Kalu Seva Jushta Swada Eva Kramadbhavati Tadgad Mulaman Antri. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Then we have also seen the 8th shloka. Tatanama rupa charit adi sukirtana anusmrutyoho kramena rasana manasi niyojya tishtat vraje tad anuraga jananugami kalam na etat akhilam itam updesha saramaham. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastime, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Golok, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalukaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamblam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing with the 8th verse discussions. So we have seen the importance of why to train, and we have also started discussing how to train. So a short synopsis of what we saw yesterday. The necessity to train is to make the mind your best friend, to remove the impressions, and if it's not removed, it is going to turn dangerous. And it is the mind which is functioning at the date and results in creation of the next body. So we have to train mind to think of Krishna, and thinking of Krishna will result not in any new birth. So that is why we need to train the mind. How to train? We saw this yesterday, that there are 3 mechanisms. We have to reside, we have to follow the process, and we have to serve. So residence is definitely got to be in Vraja under the shelter of advanced devotees, thinking of Krishna and pastimes. Process is remembrance of Krishna and eternal associates. So there are going to be different stages of remembrance, which we are going to be seeing today. And how to serve is with feeling under direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna. So it has got to be sadhana and a sadhya. So sadhana is going to be the spiritual practices executed while in stage of bondage, and sadhya is the God realization. So different stages of remembrance will be Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha, Smarana Vasta, and Sampatti Dasha. So this we are going to be studying in detail. So let us understand the 3 concepts: training tongue and mind, why to train mind, and how to train mind. So tongue is going to be trained by chanting Krishna Katha and honoring Krishna Prasad, and mind is going to be trained by remembering Lord 24 hours a day. So basis of training is going to be cultivating remembrance, and remembrance is going to be facilitated by the three things which we have seen. So let us now go into detail and understand each one of these things or how it's going to be helpful. The very first aspect which Prabhupada ji talks about is tisthan vraje. So tisthan vraje means residing in Vraja. So residence in Vrindävana or any part of the 24 kosas of the Vrajabhümi is Vraja. 1 kosha equals to around 2 square miles. So if you are able to reside in Vrindävana or any of the part of the Vrajabhümi under the shelter of an advanced devotee and thinking of Krishna and his pastimes and beloved associates, then that is what is important. And that is where the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu also explained how it is important that we always think of and remember Krishna, Krishna Smaranam. So that is what had come very clearly in Krishna, in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu as well, when we studied it. So that verse clearly said, remembering the Krishna, Krishna Smaranam Chanam Cha Asya Preshtam Nija Samahitam Tat Katharatah Cha Asau Kuryadvasam Vraje Sada. Remembering the Vrindavan form of Krishna and his dear associates who have inclinations for service similar to one's own, absorbing oneself in hearing topics related to them, one should always live in Vraja. Now, Vraja is something which does not, which ideally means the 84 kosh or the 84 koshi parikrama which we generally do of Vrindavan Dham. But then it is very difficult for anyone to always go and reside there. And unless you are qualified enough, you should not even think of going and residing there. So what is the solution? Prabhupada ji says, it is important that you create the purity that you see in Vrindavan in your own residence by ensuring that there are no fights, there are no quarrels, there are no talks at high level, there's no presence of materialism in your house, and your deities are worshipped appropriately as per the deity worship standards laid down. And then when you serve Krishna in this dasya bhav, there is an opportunity that you will get purified and your home also becomes a temple, and Krishna personally comes and starts residing there. So it does not mean again that you have to go and start residing in Vraja, because we are not qualified enough to go there. That is the most important aspect which we need to remember. Only those who have done a lot of piousness, they get the benefit of getting a birth and residing in Vraja Dhama. So coming to the second aspect is wherein Krishna is talking about sadhana. And regarding that also, you will see it is clearly mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena cha atrahi tad bhava lipsuna karya vrajaloka anusarata. Following after inhabitants of Vraja, one should perform service in one's physical body and in one's siddha body with a desire for a particular bhava. So Prabhupada ji gives these instructions. He says, service to the Supreme Lord Krishna with feeling similar to that of his associates is very important. And under a direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna, we have to follow in his footsteps. And this is applicable both in sadhana and the sadhya stage. So when it says sadhana, it is the spiritual practices executed while we are still bonded. And sadhya is the stage of God realization, of where we understand the potency of Krishna. So this service is very important. And the best way to serve is trying to be dasanu, 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 dasanu. Being servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So when you keep yourself at the last row and consider that everyone in front of you is better than you and you need to serve them. That is the stage where you get the humility. And with that humility, you are able to overcome the obstacles. You get mercy of everyone in front of you. And that mercy helps you to continue to be a good servant. So Bhaktisiddhänta Sarasvati Thäkura, he commented on this particular verse and said, sum and substance of all instructions regarding the cultivation of devotional service is coming in this verse. And he classifies it into two stages, the initial stage and the advanced stage. So Saraswati Thakur ji mentions that one who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness can be considered as initial stage. So he has to do only two things. One, give up all material motives, and two, train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles. So start with chanting, remembering Krishna, his name, his form, his quality, pastimes, and so forth. So the moment you start doing it in the initial stage, that's the beginning. And then slowly you move to the advanced stage. Because in above mentioned way, you will develop taste for such things. And it is at that time that one should try to live in Vrindävana and pass our time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. So we have to be very careful and we have to follow this. And coming to the third part, the process is very simple. Remembrance of Krishna and his eternal associates. So if you have read, then we'll remember. If you have heard, then we'll remember. Otherwise, how will we know and how will we remember? So reading and hearing is very important. So what are the different stages? From hearing to remembrance and then training of the mind. So Prabhupada ji mentions that there are three progressive stages. Shravana dasha, varana dasha, and smarana avastha. So the first stage is the stage of hearing. So when a neophyte is there, he should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha, like we are all doing right. And even if there are no live classes going on, then you should keep on hearing through recorded classes. And nowadays we are so lucky, we have got so many recordings available. So we keep on hearing Shravana, Shravana, Shravana. And the moment we keep on hearing, then slowly we progress to the Varana Dasha, or the stage of acceptance, wherein we become attached to hearing of Krishna Katha. Like the other day, the Mataji was saying that now after 2 years continuously, she has become so much used to hearing Krishna in 2 years of time. So that is the stage that we have to receive. That is the stage which we have to reach. And then we'll reach the stage of Smaranavastha, or the stage of remembering, when one is able to chant in ecstasy. When it comes to Smaranavastha, there are 5 items of Smarana, Krishna Smaran or remembrance. So Prabhupada explains these as recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance or anusmriti, and samadhi or the trance. So first is remembering of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals. So it is only recollection. We may get disturbed, we may get affected by other worldly activities that we are doing. So there will be peaks and drops, but then yes, we will keep on remembering. Second is absorption, wherein now there is no break. Even if you are doing something material, then still we are completely absorbed in hearing about Krishna. So right now, maybe I'm doing some recording, but then even when I'm doing some recording or doing some video editing, I'll still be remembering Krishna. When I'm treating patients, I'll still be remembering Krishna. That, oh, Krishna, Paramatma, I can see you here. So that is absorption. Third would be the meditation, wherein your remembrance becomes concentrated. Deep concentration. So the moment you hear about Krishna, you feel ecstasy. You get completely concentrated on Krishna only. You try to remember Krishna only. And then there is anusmriti. Constant remembrance. Because now the meditation is expanding and it is becoming constant. And then we reach the samadhi stage or the trance stage where it is uninterrupted and unceasing anuspurti. That is Krishna smara. So from hearing to remembrance, technically, the stages can be called as Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha, Smarana Avastha, and Sampatti Dasha, that is the perfection of life. So after Smarana and Samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand the original constitutional position. So that is Sampatti Dasha, or the perfection of life. Chaitanya Charitamrita, if we read, it also advises us on different aspects or the essence of instructions in matter of devotional service. So for neophyte, it says, give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in regulated devotional service. Follow whatever are the directions given in the scripture. Then a neophyte will gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. And in advanced stages, when we have developed attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, we can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna, even without worrying about the regulative principles. This is called the Raga Bhakti, or the devotional service in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. And this is Raganuga Bhakti. So we were talking yesterday how Vaidhi Bhakti goes to Raganuga Bhakti. And this is what this 8th Shloka has been talking about. The importance. That now we become more and more attached, asakti to Krishna. So this Raganuga Bhakti, the spontaneous devotional service which we develop, it can be executed in any of the 5 rasas. So we have seen that there are 5 rasas. If any one of you remember, you can repeat Shanta ras, Dasya ras, Sakya ras, Vatsalya ras, and Madhurya ras. So Raganuga Bhakti can be executed in any of the 5 rasas. Whichever melo we are happy with, whichever melo we feel more comfortable. So when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows, or the stick or a flute in the hand of Krishna, or the flowers around Krishna's neck, that's a Shantaras. Or if you follow in the footsteps like Chitraka, Patraka, Raktaka, then that is Dasyaras. Or if you become friend like Baldev, Sridhama or Sudama, that will be Sakyaras. Or parental affection, like Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maiya, that will be Vatsalya Ras or Madhurya Ras, which is characterized by conjugal love. One can become like Srimati Radharani or a lady friend such as Lalita, Vishakha, Manjaris like Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari. So, whatever melo we are more accustomed to, we are more comfortable with, that is how it can happen. And we can develop the Raganuga. And that is what this whole shloka number 8 has been talking about. Tatnama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtana Anusmratya Niyojya Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tisthan vraje tat anuragi Jana Anugami Kalam Naeta Akhilam Iti Upadesha Saramah. So it is saying very clearly, the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Golok, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of the devotees. And when we are able to serve ourselves under the guidance of the devotees, then there is a possibility that yes, we will be successful. And we will get selected by Krishna to be his associate. That is the essence. always full time, 24 hours. This is what is all there. So the service has to be with feelings. It's important. So we have seen the different stages of remembrance. Shravana Dasa, about hearing; Varana Dasha, acceptance; Smaranavastha, remembering and chanting in ecstasy. So there are 5 stages of Smaranavastha: interrupted, then uninterrupted, uninterrupted and concentrated, then meditation expanding and becoming constant, that is Anusmriti, and then Samadhi, the trance stage, where it is uninterrupted and unceasing. And then we come to the Sampatti Dasha, or eternal relationship, which is revealed to us. So the whole sar of this Updeshamrut, which comes in this 8th shloka, is that we have to always remember Krishna. And for that remembrance to happen, we have to follow these continuous stages. So the practical tips for our life would be, as Prabhupada ji has given us, we have to do our 16 rounds of chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So 16 rounds of chanting throughout the day is very, very important, because it helps your mind to remember Krishna, to pray to Krishna, to pray to Radharani, the energy of Krishna, that please accept us. The second aspect is ensuring that we don't do any kind of nam aprad. Because any kind of a nam aprad, then that is going to be a problem. So we have to ensure that we don't do any kind of a nama aprad. And that is why before chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we'll see that we always recite the Namapradas, so that we are remembering it before chanting itself. And as a result of that, you don't make the mistake of any of those apradas towards the holy name. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. In fact, even after you have completed your chanting, you may be doing any work. It is important that you continuously remember. Because the Vedas have recommended that in the present age, the most effective means for achieving self-realization is to always hear about, glorify, and remember the all-good Supreme Lord. This sublime chanting is actually putting us directly in touch with the Supreme Lord through the sound vibration of the holy name, and gradually awakening us to our original relationship with God. So whatever be the rasa that we gradually awaken when we are doing our chant, we'll realize that we are spirit souls, eternally related to Supreme Lord in service and in love. So not only that, it's also mentioned that anyone who hears the chanting also benefits. Even if he simply likes the sound of chanting, or he appreciates the Sankirtan in some way or the other. In fact, the holy name is compared to a fire. If one puts his hand in fire, he will be burnt. Sincere chanting and hearing will cleanse the mind and elevate one and all to the natural original position of Krishna consciousness. So this chanting is most important aspect. And the process is very simple. We chant on the beats 108 times. So that is one round. So similarly, with this way, we complete the 16 rounds of chant. The second practical aspect to remember always Krishna is going to be to ensure that we have Shravanam. So Shravanam is also important. And that Shravanam has to be, Prabhupada ji has mentioned, of the scriptures of Krishna Katha, as is coming in this shloka also. So Krishna Katha can be one where we are talking about Krishna, or 2 where Krishna himself is talking. So indirectly what it means is that we have to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam and we have to listen to Bhagavad Gita. So every day in the morning, as soon as you finish your chanting, you can have your Mangal Aarti done, and then you can go for Bhagavatam reading. 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day in the morning, one shloka. And in the evening, once you have done your Sandhya Aarti, read Bhagavad Gita. And then join the class at 8 p.m. Very simple. But then that is going to get all the impressions which are there on your mind of your limitless earlier births removed. And the only impression which will remain is that of Krishna. And that is what is important. Third is getting the mercy. The best way to get the mercy of anyone is to ensure that we get to eat only prasadam. So eating only prasadam is also very important. Because if you eat prasad only, then automatically the mercy flows in. The effects of the illusion, the effects of Maya, they get reduced. And the chances of you becoming devoted completely, steadfastly are very high. So avoid eating anything which is not offered to Krishna. This is very, very important. You should eat only those things which are offered to Krishna. So it may happen that you are very, very hungry. You want to eat something. You have brought in some fruits. Oh, I want to eat it. What do I do? But you still have to be patient. Offer it to Krishna. Put tulsi leaves on it. Say the offering prayers. Wait for Krishna to release those fruits for 10 minutes minimum, if not 18 minutes. And then take permission of Krishna to eat those fruits as his prasad. So taking prasad is very important. So regarding this, Prabhupada ji had mentioned in one of his letters, because the devotees were new, they were inquiring what has to be done. So in that letter, Prabhupada ji writes that offering is left in front of Krishna for about 15 minutes. We should offer foodstuffs to the deity and allow enough time to eat them. These are transcendental sentiments. At Vrindävana, the deities are offered foodstuffs and time is allowed as in the case of others. So this is what Prabhupada ji has also clearly documented. Krishna's plate has to be left for 15 to 20 minutes or more. But again, not more than half hour. And after offering the plate, the balance in the pot should be distributed immediately. So this practice has to be followed by everyone. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pleased because he used to see how nicely so many varieties of food were prepared for Krishna. So actually all kinds of prasad are prepared for Krishna and not for people. But the devotees partake of prasad with great pleasure. So this is something which we have to understand and imbibe in ourselves. And it is so simple. We just take the plate, keep it on either on the altar or in front of the altar on a table. Or if there is no altar, then in front of picture of Krishna, sitting in front of altar, meditating on how Krishna will enjoy the offering. The devotee will ring the bell softly while reciting the mantra 3 times. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. 3 times. Then Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaur Krishna Nama 3 times. And then Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namah. Again 3 times. So this is all that we have to do, and after we get Diksha, then we can say our own Guru's Pranam mantra also. And after Brahman initiation, maybe the Pancharatrika mantras will also be initiated, but that is a higher level. But this is basic. And then we have to take it as Mahaprasad. So keeping the food in front of Krishna for 15 minutes is very, very important. And the moment we start taking it as Mahaprasad, automatically the cleansing happens. That's a humble request. That is how that remembrance will develop, that asakti will develop in Krishna, in his service, in his pastimes, in his name, in his fame, in his glories. And after that is developed, then we'll move towards the bhava and the prema. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo